Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Welcome to another episode of the Just Sing podcast. Today, as the title says, this episode is going to be about the chosen people and who they really are. I know this has been a topic that has been, kind of, I guess, in the media, in the news, in the world for a while. Everybody wants to know who's the real ones, who's the fake ones, who's, supposedly the, the chosen people. That's what this episode is about. This is not going to be your typical chosen people conversation. I'm going to let you know that right now. But what I will say is this, it's going to continue with the same thing that I've always been on. And it's gonna be what it needs to be. This is one that, when it comes to my own personal perspective, I had to consider, deep study, and then come to my own realization. You feel what I'm saying? And this is my perspective of the chosen people, conundrum that we seem to find ourselves in. The battle that we seem to want to be, because it's a very captivating thing. It's a very governmental thing. And by government, I mean by this, it's, definition of govern means to control and means the mind. It is a very governmental thing. And what we aren't really gathering, I'm not going to say the truth, because there is no truth. Only truth is that there isn't one, your truth is what you make it. You feel what I mean? So with this episode, I'm going to be a lot more serious, because I don't want it to seem too playful, because I'm very serious in what I'm talking about. And I don't know, I just feel like with this wrapping up, with me drawing to a close on the third season of this, and then taking a break, I feel like this is the right way to take that break, because there's going to be a lot of things that have to process. But all in all, this conversation is coming about because I had a conversation with an auntie, and it kind of disturbed me. It disturbed me a lot because I'm still thinking about it now. And she said something that was very, very pivotal. And then I've even had this conversation, I've had this conversation with my mother. I had this conversation with quite a few of my religious family, because for them, it's hard for them to understand where I stand, with it, because they won't listen to me. I keep trying to tell them, but they have a one-track mind with this. And, I think that happens with a lot of us. And when I was just watching recently in the news with, the whole Nick Cannon situation, where he had to apologize for this and ended up donating, like they broke him. They bucked him for real. Like they broke him and everything. And it's like his expression of the chosen people, and they kept saying, well, you're not the chosen people, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, nah, we are. And then everybody's like, okay, cool. So then everybody wants to throw out 12 tribes and all of that shit. And so it's like, who's really the chosen people? And I think I have an answer for that, right? I think I have an answer for that. But before I get into it, I'm going to take a quick break. And I'm going to take a quick break. As always, follow me on Instagram at _just_sing_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to check out all things that are just seen. My day, if you would like to learn how to day trade and understand investing markets, you can join the Mastering the Market course and the live webinars. Get SoFrail books, get the Hitting It Raw book, and you can join the Hitting It Raw course if you are looking to transition into the plant-based lifestyle. I have merch as well, where I make my designs solely cater to the melanated mind for the psyche and the imagery. And, you can book a chatting with Scene session if you just want to chat, talk about something, discuss anything, from the basic things of life to more complex studies. The packages are all there to sign up. And sometimes you just want to vent. It's there too. Um, and of course, the Just Sing podcast. Be sure to, follow that on all of your popular stations. Yeah, that's about it. I don't want to waste too much more time. So we'll take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the chosen people, who they really are. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSing.com. There you can get all things Just Sing. You want to add the Sofrel series to your library? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSing.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSing.com. You ever want to just chat with Sing about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSing.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSing.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSing.com. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to get straight into it. The reason why I'm having this episode is because, like I said, I had a situation with my auntie. And it disturbed me. It rubbed me the wrong way. So I told the story several times over about how when I was a kid, I was 17 months old, I got ran over by a car. Okay? And the situation occurred because, it was me, my mom, and my auntie. Well, first it was just me and my mom. We was having a conversation about, religion. And no slight to my mother, because I love her to life, but we all have our own past. We have our own beliefs. But it gets to a point where collectively, a lot of people don't feel as if you know what you know when you decide to make a decision on something. And I get it. I'm her son. You feel what I'm saying? I'm her son. And I also don't express this side too much of me to like, she knows where I stand as far as religion and everything, but I never showed her how deep I've gone in my understanding of this to why I was able to walk away from it. So when we talk, she's always basing the perspective of her knowledge base. And she can't fathom where mine is gone yet. She doesn't know, because I'm like, if I expose that to her, like the respect and love that I have for my mom, I understand how fragile this shit could be. You feel me? And what it would do to her. So I don't express it. But this particular day, I don't know how it came to be, but we ended up talking about the story of Job or whatever the case may be. And, I kind of had to show her the reality of what that story was. And, in the actual Bible, where it shows how Job was basically God made a bet with the devil that Job wouldn't curse him, right? And then God took everything away from the devil. So the story shows in the beginning, it appears that the devil was the one who did everything to Job, and it wasn't. God was the one who did everything to Job. God did that to him. And when Job's friends and everybody was like, yo, bro, he's wrong. He's doing you wrong. And it was sad because God even initiated the bet by saying, have you considered my most trusted servant, basically, like my number one guy? He asked the devil, have you considered him? And he said, I bet you can't make him curse me. He didn't say bet, of course, in the Bible, but he said, basically, I bet you can't make him curse me. And God said, and the devil said, okay, remove your hand from him and strike him. This is what the devil said to God. And God responds with, as well. He said, I leave him in your hands. You just can't touch his soul. In other words, implying that. So we got into the argument about that part. And then when I showed her in the very end how it ends with saying, the Lord took his family away. The Lord took his things away. It was one of those things where I was like, you see why I don't get down with this? Because we're serving something that purposely has fun doing this to us. You feel what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it was like, okay, this reality is not good. Like, he took everything from this man to prove a point to the devil, which he created. Like, how do you have to prove a point to your creation? You feel what I'm saying? So the conversation went it was brought back up. And my immediate circle and my family don't understand where I go with this. It's like, you ever seen somebody so arrogant with something that they can't see that they're outclassed? You feel what I'm saying? Like, I would literally quote the very verses that are in the book. I would really quote the passages and break it down, and they still think I don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, I'm like, I'm quoting it better than you. I'm quoting it off the top of my head. You're going to the book and validating what I'm saying. That means I know it better than you. And the degrees of separation are so far that they still can't see it. The arrogance is so strong. So we were having this conversation. I'm minding my business, and they bring me into the conversation, So the conversation came up about Job, and it was like, yo, there was nothing to refute about that because it's written in the book. And that's the one, like, there was no context. There was no speculation. I said, these are the words. How do you deal with that? You feel what I'm saying? How do you deal with that? And the story of Job, if you actually know it, he lost everything, even his family. God even took his family away from him, to the point where when he took his family, they said at the end, he blessed them with more children that were more beautiful. Like, I've never been a parent, but I understand that there's a connection between a parent and a child that you can't replace with another child. I don't care how many you have. Like, the first set, it's like, when his kids died, they were grown. Like, you had already built like that connection with them, and they were taken from you. You know what I'm saying? They were taken from him. And it's like, the way the story plays out is just like he lived happily ever after. You can't live happily ever after like that, because his kids are cuter than the ones he originally had. That's stupid. That's stupid. That makes no sense. So that was the conversation. So it was like, yo, I never looked at it like that. I ain't never even think. I said, that's because y'all not reading it for real. I said, y'all aren't studying this information to know it. Y'all are just reaffirming your belief. And that's cool. But know that you're doing that. I don't care. Like, if you're getting all of these books just to keep you in it, you're reaffirming your belief. You're not challenging your thoughts. You feel what I'm saying? And that is where the problem came in, because in this conversation that they pulled me into, they started talking about Job. And, my mom, she put the conversation up and was like, Ray put something very important to me about how God did X, Y, and Z to Job. She was like, God did it. And everybody was like, no, he didn't. My mom was like, yes, he did. It's right there. She's like, I was even shocked when he showed me. I said, so my thing was, I'm like, yo, y'all been studying this longer than I've been alive, and y'all don't get it still. Y'all aren't supposed to get the shit. But anyway, so where it got me tight was, we started talking about it for real. Now, like, mind you, the whole time I'm quoting like actual verses. And that's what's frustrating to me, because I'm quoting actual verses and they're like, what? Like, so I'm quoting verses. I'm like, yo, how come y'all don't act like gods? I said, are you a child of God or are you an adult of God? At what point do you grow up? And so my aunt said, I'm always going to be a child of God. See? And I'm like, see, you're always going to do childish shit. Like, you're never going to be accountable for your thing because you always in your mind believe you're a child. You feel what I'm saying? Of course, I ain't say shit because, I do got that respect for the elders and stuff like that. But this particular aunt, it's dead for that because of the way she spoke after this. So the situation that presented itself was, we were talking about the story of Job. Then I started talking about a lot of the atrocities the deities do. Because I'm like, y'all keep telling me it's good all the time and all the time they're good, but there's more atrocities than anything. So I started putting it down because at this point I was like, yo, I'm tired of playing this game with y'all. Well, I'm just like, yo, fuck that. I'm gonna leave y'all alone. And y'all keep coming at me. So she says, so she's like, yeah, because, God's going to do that because he has to show you that he's real. So we got talking about the faith the size of a mustard seed. This is when it got nasty because I was like, I said, Auntie, you have faith the size of a mustard seed and you can tell that mountain to move and it'll move, right? She said, yep, that's what the word said. I said, how come ain't none of y'all ever moved a mountain? So they were like, no, what? I said, that means y'all don't have the faith you think you have. Because if we're talking faith the size of a mustard seed is very small. That's the only amount of faith you need. You can move a mountain and nobody's moving the mountain. I said, y'all are lying about your faith. Y'all really don't believe in it the way y'all believe in it because y'all have yet to move a mountain. You dig what I'm saying? And so it was like, no, it's talking about the mustard seed. If your faith is as potent as a mustard seed. And she was like, I remember that one time she gave me a story about one time some dogs were running at her and she said, in Jesus' name, I tell y'all to stop. And she said, the dog stopped. I said, you yelled at him? Okay, cool. I get you that. I'm not going to take that away from you. That's what you go for. So then I started pointing out, hey, the letter J didn't even exist at this particular time. Well, I'm still going to, I said, so now when the verse says, deny me in front of man and I deny you in front of my Father, and you're calling me a name that's not even my name, that's denying me in front of man. Therefore, I'm going to deny you in front of my Father. Again, I'm quoting this shit out of the very book, and they're still not even seeing where this is going. I'm like, okay, this is what it is. So we get to, I'm like, yo, you do not, I said, she's like, because we're, you have to think about it like this. God does that to show us. I was like, so he does atrocities so we know that he's real. I said, so he plays games with it. It's like Saw. You feel what I'm saying? So where the separation came in, which is also going to segue into the purpose of all of this episode, but was when she tells me that the reason as a 17-month-old baby I got ran over by a car was because God had to show my mom that he was real. So I was like, I said, so wait a minute. You put a 17-month-old baby in harm's way to prove a point to a woman who already believed in you. And she was like, yes. She said, it wasn't for you. You getting hit by a car wasn't for you. You surviving it wasn't for you. It was for your mom to know that he was real. I said, so he gambled with me. A car is over 4,600 pounds. 17 months old, I probably couldn't weigh no more than 30. This car ran me over. I still got the scar on my shoulder where the axle of the wheel rested on my shoulder. And you tell me that this being did this to me to prove a point. So then I said, so now do you see why I say that this being is a very narcissistic asshole? Like, if we're going to say it's real, and it very well did this. So I'm looking, because I'm in a circle. I'm looking at my mom like, do you hear this? Do you hear that? I said, so mom, he jobed you. She was like, what? I said, he jobed you. He used me to job you. And I was like, they were like, what do you, I said, so wait, y'all don't even understand what y'all like. And it got me real tight because I'm like, this is the sad part of it all. This is the sad part of it all, because I'm like, you put a 17-month-old baby in harm's way to prove a point to a woman who already believed in you. I said, if your power was that powerful, why didn't he just come to her and say, I am real? Showed his face to her. So then it goes back to when they talk about Moses and, because God, when he showed his face to Moses, God said he would never show his face. He always showed to him. I'm like, yo, so he can even show you to him? He had to put me in harm's way to get a point proven to you. And then my aunt said, you surviving it had nothing to do with you. She said, yeah, you might have a mission, you might have this, but it was all for your mothers to believe in him. I was like, Auntie, are you really telling me that I got hit by a car so this deity can prove a point to my mama? And she said yes. So I kind of, flew off the handle at that point. It was no more consider their feelings. It was no more of that shit. The illusion had to be shattered at that point. And so I was like, Auntie, that's stupid. I said, so what makes you think that? She said, because we're the chosen people. That's when the spark went off. Because then I'm looking at, okay, the Nick Cannon situation. He's up there talking about, we're the chosen people, right? So I asked everybody, what the fuck are we chosen for? Because not only what are we chosen for, which chosen people are we? Because when I'm looking at this book, now it doesn't matter what the religion is. And I'm going to get into that a little later. But it doesn't matter what the religion is. Each religion has a conceptualization of chosen people. But what people don't pay attention to when they're looking at the chosen people, which chosen person have you accepted? Which version of the chosen person have we accepted? You feel me? I looked at my auntie and I knew exactly which version she accepted. Because when you can say and still acknowledge that this being is good and righteous and all wise, right, and exact. You feel what I'm saying? Forget the context saying that this being does evil shit. It tells you I do evil shit. It tells you I put evil shit to work in your life, only to a certain extent, just so you know that I'm real. When it tells you I'm a jealous, wrathful, and vengeful being, you feel what I'm saying? And yet you still consider that to be good. That's a level of delusion in your mind, because now you have created your own insanity. So now, when we accept that we are the chosen people, what are we chosen for? And which version of the chosen people are we there? This is why I say, when you read this information, it has to be objectively. But we don't study religions to learn them, to understand them. We study them to reaffirm our belief. We only read certain things. We only follow certain paths. We only look at certain doctrines. So I ask, which version of the chosen people are you? You feel what I'm saying? And this came to me because when, no slight to them, everybody has to get to their own point. Everybody understands how they understand. But when we look at the Israelites, right? One thing they always say is we're the chosen people. And when they say that we're chosen, first thing they quote is Deuteronomy 28. The full chapter of Deuteronomy 28. Because the curses that are happening then are happening now. So I said, okay, so which version did you accept? We accept the cursed version. As Black people, we accept the cursed version of being the chosen people. And this is why I tied it into the Nick Cannon thing. Because when the Jews, they came out and said, oh no, you're anti-Semitic and blah, 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 blah. Because do you know why? Because they've chosen the blessed version of the chosen people as which version they're going to follow. As Black people, we've chosen the cursed version. And here's what I mean by that. When you actually read the context of it, there's a version of, the chosen people. Now, see, that's the thing about it. Like, people are like, okay, did the Hebrews start with Israel and the Israelites and then on, or whatever the case may be? Look, I can get into that a little later, but when we're looking at the full context of it all, right? The version that we're looking at, the only version we pay attention to is the version of the chosen people who came out of Egypt after they were told to let go. So that's what we hyper focus on. Oh, they went to the mountain, the 40 tablets, the 10 commandments and all that shit. We are stuck in that little epoch, that little era of the chosen people where they were lost in the wilderness. They were confused. They couldn't get right. They had to serve other things. That's the aspect that we as Black people have accepted as being the chosen people, which means we're chosen to be cursed. It sucks like a motherfucker because we chose the version of the chosen people who get cursed. They've chosen the version of the chosen people who get blessed. And they allowed the religious doctrine to fuel based off of the belief of the people in order to make these things a reality. How do you know that they've chosen the positive version? Because, okay, so the version of the chosen people that we have accepted as the ones who get cursed, the ones who are punished, the ones who can't get right, the ones who are always going to be lost to confusion without the deity, the ones who are always going to be in these particular points. Why do you think we accepted that? Was it before or after the enslavements? Now, understand, no religion gets a pass for me. I just happen to be under a Christian foundation when I grew up, which then ultimately is going to translate to an Israelite Hebrew But at the end of the day, you have to go and understand that it's an Abrahamic religion. So whether it's Christianity or Islam, I don't give a damn. I don't fuck with either one of them solely because they have the same roots. Both of these two positions have a conceptualization of the chosen people. But both of these two positions have also gotten to the point where in Christianity, we have accepted that we are the cursed version of the chosen people who are fulfilling a curse, and that has to be done. And even in Islam, we do the same shit. We accept that we are the chosen people. Do you know why we're able to do this with both of these religions? Because they're both Abrahamic religions and stem from the same shit. They're cousins. They're derivatives of the same shit. Isaac and Ishmael are brothers. Ishmael is responsible for the Quran and the Islamic religion. Isaac is responsible for the Christianity and Judaism religion. There's no difference between these two motherfuckers. They're cousins. They're opposite sides of the same coin. There's just different derivations, but they all derive from Abraham. That's why they're called Abrahamic religions. There's no difference between the two, but the only commonality between these motherfuckers is the conceptualization of chosen people and there being two different versions of it. When we consider Islam, the Arabic people, the pale Arabic people who are predominantly the I guess, quote unquote, the gatekeepers, they've taken on the chosen role as the good version, the blessed version. And they've given us the cursed version. They've done that through the trans-Saharan slave trade. I don't want to talk about that shit though. But that's why majority of the Africans on the continent, if you're not like, that's why our battle is between, are we going to be Christian or are we going to be Islamic? Because now where we find ourselves in religion has to only be in one place, and that's cursed. That's cursed. And so when we look at Islam, it's like we're following the same religion, but we still adopt the cursed part. We adopt the cursed version of being the chosen people. How? Because being the cursed version helps justify the subjugation and all of the bullshit that happens to you. So then we got to ask, what's the cursed version and the blessed version of the two chosen peoples? You know, because when we look at it, the Arabs and the quote, the Muslims, you know, not just the people that practice Islam, but the Muslims, they feel that they're the gatekeepers of that. And they are under their mentality is based off of being the chosen people from the blessed side. Just like the Jews are under the premise that they're the chosen people from the blessed side. But in both of these commonalities, black people, I'm going to say melanated people, because I'm not going to say the Africans. I'm not going to say the indigenous here. Whoever the fuck we are, genetically dominant beings, when we accept these religions, we only find the place where we fit in the fucking context of being cursed. You feel what I'm saying? When we validate why we think Jesus is black, we say, well, he didn't get a fair trial. I get it, you know, hair burnt bronze, wool, skin is wool, you know. It's like, yo, he didn't have a fair trial. They did the same thing today that they did then. And there's nothing new under the sun. So when you read the verses and it says, I am the same deity then, now, and forever. So what the fuck I used to do to you then, I'm going to do to you now, because you are cursed to your fourth generation for 400 years. And if you don't understand the time stamp and when it started, it's not going to end. There's every time you come into this shit and you start off with a new position, you're going to start the 400 years over. The 400 years is 4 generations because it was under the premise and the expectation that you're going to live 100 years, 4 generations out. You feel what I'm saying? So as the people, as the melanated being, we have accepted that our version of being the chosen people is cursed. Give me every time you look at, listen to the gospel music, you know, listen to the music, like how poisonous is it? Like when you see the scriptures and you see all these things, like we're quick to say, I'm not worthy. I'm nothing without you. I'm this. We reaffirm that shit because we accepted our version of being chosen as being cursed. People who need help, people who need to get out of this thing. You feel what I'm saying? So when we put that into perspective, it starts to get scary. Because now the question is, as it was posed at the beginning of the episode, and it was posed in the title of the podcast, who are the chosen people? The answer is both. When the Jews say that they are the chosen people, they are right. When the Jewish people say they are the chosen people, they are right. Because they selected which version of the chosen people they want to be. When black people say that they are the chosen people, we are right. Because we have accepted the version of the chosen people we want to be. We have looked into our history, and that's why the history has been given to us the way that it is. Because if you separate church and state, you can no longer combine history and religion to make it make sense. So you just follow and you reaffirm your belief. But when you're selected as the chosen people and you understand only atrocity, you accept off rip that I am the cursed version of the chosen people. Then when you read it, yeah, it feels good. It sounds good to give you hope, to say that he's going to make your enemy your footstool. He's going to put you, when he says he's going to make your enemy for your footstool, that is reserved for the chosen people who are blessed. So while we love quoting it, why are we the footstools being stepped on? Because we have not accepted the right version. Because if we did, we wouldn't be in this position. So when we accept, hey, we're the real Jews. We're the real ones. It's us. And you ask a motherfucker, what makes Hebrew Israelites a good for it? When I lived in Philly, I used to go back and forth with these niggas all the fucking time. Because I would be like, yo, we're the chosen people. Chosen for fucking what? To be in the number with the Most High. And I said, no, that's not what you're chosen for. You're chosen to be stupid and go through the same dumb shit you're going through. I love all my black people to life, but sometimes when this religion shit makes us say and do stupid shit. You feel what I'm saying? We're chosen for. The version of the chosen people we are the negative version, the cursed version. You feel what I'm saying? You don't believe me? Go ask a Hebrew Israelite what makes us blessed. What makes us the chosen people? Of all of the shit in the Bible that you can use to justify why you're the chosen people, they're going to go to Deuteronomy 28. They're going to go to Deuteronomy 28. What does Deuteronomy 28 affirm? That you're disobedient, that you can't listen, and that you deserve to be punished. I'm going to say that shit again. It affirms that you're you're disobedient, you don't listen, and you deserve to be punished. That's what Deuteronomy 28 affirms. So yes, it does validate that you're the fucking chosen people. Chosen to be cursed. And we accept that shit. Oh, they said they're going to scatter us around the lands. We're really the 12 tribes. We're the tribe of Judah. And then you got this here. But at the end of the day, what is still the common thing? You validate that you are the chosen people by the curse. Not by the fucking blessings. By the goddamn curse. And you reaffirm that shit all the time. So when you look at the world, you're just like, at the end of the day, our heaven is going to be different because we're being this way now. I've had a conversation, like I said, with a brother who is Hebrew. And he tells me the reason why we're going through this today is because you don't believe. I was like, wait, what? I said, so my individual disconnect from this shit is the reason why all of us are being punished. Yeah, because the Most High says we all have to come on one accord and we all have to believe together. So literally one bad apple spoils the bunch. So all of that bullshit we be talking about, he knows my heart or whatever the case. I don't give a fuck if he knows your heart. Ain't nobody going. I can be the motherfucker to keep everybody else out this bitch. Something's wrong with that. Like nobody has their own individual record. If in fact that the collective are punished. The collective are punished for the actions of a few or the actions of one. And then you cursed all the way over still. You dig what I'm saying? It's little things like that, which are very big things that piss me off, that show me that, damn, as a people, we are chosen, but we've chosen the reality of ourselves that is to be cursed. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSeen.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. There's no debate about it. There's no debate about it. Ask me show me any black person that you ever come to terms with, and you ask them, yo, what makes you the chosen people? They go straight to Deuteronomy 28. Because our psyche has been warped to believe that we're supposed to go through pain. We're supposed to go through atrocity. Whether you woke or not, that shit is ingrained in you. Whether you fuck with the religion or not, that shit is ingrained in you. So ingrained in you that we live a struggle life. We feel like we have to have a struggle life. We be like, you know, oh, you ain't go up in it. Like, we get mad at motherfuckers who actually had silver spoons in their mouth. You feel me? Because like I said, we may give up the religion, but we never give up the religiosity that was already planted within us. We have understood and internalized that we are the cursed version of the chosen people. You feel what I'm saying? Ask a black person, first thing, and this is why I'm like, yo, you got to really study for real. You got to really study for real. I got that same auntie that I was talking about. She said, you need to sit with your uncle and have, I said, I have a lot of respect for women. I have a lot of respect for women. So I hold back a lot for y'all because I understand that religion is a lot more emotional. I said, but as a masculine man, when I come to another man, the emotion's off the table when we're analyzing and deconstructing shit. I said, I'm going to whoop uncle. I'm going to whoop his ass on the shit. I don't, keep my names and shit, but personal, but I'm going to whoop his ass in this shit. And I'm not going to hold back. I said, make sure he has everything he needs. And I make sure everybody is around because now you're going to see Titans clash. Because y'all think he knows, y'all gonna see how little he really knows. And y'all gonna see, I said, the reason why y'all have this confidence to talk the way y'all think y'all can talk is because I respect women. And I know that but I respect men too so much, but I respect the principle of masculinity as analysis and deconstruction. I can't get mad at a woman. I can't get mad at the feminine essence because it's synthesis and construction. And that's what they had to use to synthesize and construct. But as the men, we never analyzed and deconstructed the shit. We accepted it. That's my problem. So I said, bring him to the table. I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to fuck him up because I'm tired of this. Like, I'm tired of this reality because when we start talking about the chosen people, like I said, we go to the pyramids. Oh, well, we was enslaved in Egypt. Now we're enslaved now. Damn, when did we do good? When did we ever have the prosperity? You feel what I'm saying? But I tell you this, though, from the other side of the chosen people, the ones who make you, and this is where this is how you know which version that they've accepted and adopted. You feel what I'm saying? They've accepted and adopted the blessed version because those chosen people, they will make you apologize for saying anything against them. They will make you do that. They will emasculate you in front of everybody. They will make you not stand on your shit. They'll take everything from you if need be. You know why? Because they've accepted the blessed version of the chosen people. So what is the blessed version of the chosen people? I don't think many black people know the blessed version of the chosen people. Because the blessed version of the chosen people are the very people that they say your enemy will be your footstool. They're standing on top of us. We love quoting that shit, but we don't pay attention to the reality. They are the ones with their foot on us. Metaphorically and in reality. You feel what I'm saying? So they've accepted that they are the blessed version of the chosen people. So much so that the blessed version of the chosen people, what is the pass that is given to the blessed version? It says, I will give you whatever land you want to. And when you get there, put to the sword what? All men, women, children, and cattle. The chosen people, the blessed version of the chosen people are designed to commit genocide. Who's the most genocidal people on the face of this motherfucking planet? And nothing seems to stop. Do you know why? Because they have internalized that this is what I have justified myself for. Because this version of the chosen people is what I am. So when the blessed version of the chosen people meet the cursed version of the chosen people, what the fuck you think is going to happen? Not only that, when the blessed version of the chosen people gives the cursed version of the chosen people their doctrine, this shit gets easy. I don't have to do shit to you anymore. Because you believe you're the chosen people. Okay, cool. Believe you the motherfucking chosen people. That's why that argument comes in about apologizing. That's why that argument comes in about anti-Semitic things. You know why? Because if you come out and you accept the blessed version of the chosen people, you know what you now have to do. The same shit that they've done to you all of this time. You have to make your enemy your footstool. You have to put to the sword all men, women, children, and cattle. You have to start laying shit flat. You're not just accepting that I'm disobedient and can't get right and need to have my soul cleansed and changed. You know your soul is already right and this world is yours and it's been given to you to do whatever the fuck you want to do with it. Nobody wants to deal with that part. As black people, we're scared to accept that if we're going to be the chosen people, accept that you're the blessed version, but now it requires you to get nasty. As nasty as they are. Because what else comes with that blessed version? Pedophilia. You feel me? Pedophilia is the staple of that shit. Show me every regal motherfucker in a lot of the quote unquote chosen people. They were pedophiles. Like I said, the whole Israelite doctrine is built off pedophilia. Leah and Rachel were both under 20 years old. The motherfucker, was it Isaac? Yeah, I think his name. Isaac was 77, I think. He was 77 when he first met them and said a 12-year-old was beautiful. Yeah. And we wonder why this shit goes the way that it goes. And nothing seems to be stopping. If this very being was as caring and loving as it's supposed to be, it would stop this shit, but it ordains it because this is the energy that this thing evokes and infuses within the world. You feel what I'm saying? So now, I'm going to run it back again. Which version of the chosen people have you accepted within yourself? Fuck it. If you follow and now, that was just from the religion, from the Christian and Judaism aspect. You feel me? Everybody wants to be the real Jews. Be the real Jews. I don't if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to fight for, be the real ones. But pick the blessed version. Stop picking the cursed version. Because that's what we continue to perpetuate. You notice the blessed version isn't waiting on the sky to crack. Because they're cracking the fucking ground. It's the cursed version who's waiting on the sky to crack because my curse is lifted. I'm free. I'm free. I can walk. I can see. I'm washed white as snow. Like, there's not a single instance in this book in which the blessed version ever waited for the sky to crack. But see, nobody understands the two delineations between these two. Because we're studying two different ways. We're studying two different ways. And it gets crazier when you're studying it from their perspective and they don't even look like you and they're still reminding you, oh yeah, y'all are the cursed ones. Yeah, it sounds good to show, oh, y'all don't want to listen to it till a white person says it. And then even when a white person says it, they still reaffirm that y'all are the cursed version. They don't reaffirm that you're the blessed version. They don't reaffirm the ones who went and sacked whole cities, who when they said, okay, I'm going to give you this land for the land for your forefathers. How come we ain't getting no land? How come nothing's telling us that, take this land and put to the sword all men, women, children, and cattle that live there? If there are any virgins, take them for yourself. Yeah, we don't want to talk about the real part of it. That's why I tell people, when you look at religion, there's 3 levels to it. You have the ritual, you have the mythology, the ritual, and the allegory. Everybody stops at the mythology. And the reason why they stop at the mythology, because they only see one side of it, because they can only see the side that is designed for them. We romanticize a curse that is put on us. Of all of the 66 books that are in the book, of all of the 66 books, we pay attention to one chapter and one verse to define who the fuck we are. One chapter, one verse to define who the fuck we are. I mean, one book, one chapter, which is Deuteronomy 28. There's 65 other fucking books in this shit. I don't know how many verses. But we use Deuteronomy 28 to define that's how we're the chosen people. You feel what I'm saying? And so, even if we're going from the Islamic perspective, we still accept that in some way, shape, or form. We accept this, you know, because all of these religions are tied to our enslavement in some way, shape, or form. So they gave us the cursed version from the jump. Oh, this is who you are. But you got to understand, when it's all said and done, you're going to come out on top. Oh, we supposed to be on top right now. This is our shit. Like, this is what it's giving us. Like, okay, it's told us to go put y'all to the sword. Put all your men, women, children, and cattle to the sword. Leave nothing alive. And we wonder why we wouldn't bust a grape in a food fight now. Because of the version of the chosen people we have accepted. I don't want to go be this way. I don't want to go act like this because I don't want to compound on the curse I'm already blessed under. I'm a born sinner. It sounds good when they say everybody's a born sinner. But no, the chosen people aren't born sinners. They don't even live like they're born sinners. They live like they're conquerors and they live like they're heirs to this motherfucker and they act accordingly. The reason why they always want to say apologize or they try to emasculate or take away from whatever it is. And they don't want anybody to have this conversation because the deeper you get, you start to realize that there's two versions of this shit. Just like there's two versions of Jesus. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, is he black? Is he white? Is he real, motherfucker? Putting the race on him, it eliminates the conversation. If we say, nah, he's really black. Nah, he's really white. Nah, when you start to put the race on it, you start to put, you take away from it. You already made him real. You feel what I'm saying? But then when you put, like, for example, when my auntie said the reason why the dog stopped, because she said, I commanded those dogs to stop in Jesus' name. I said, well, Jesus ain't that man's name. They really just stopped because of your voice. Jesus' name can't have no power. Well, we know that his name, this is what they told me. We know that his name is Yeshua, but I'm still going to say Jesus. Names don't translate, my guy. Like, that's that man's name. But then when you look at it, his name was originally, if it had to be Yeshua. Yeshua HaMashiach. You can look it up. That was his real name. But at the same time, if his name was Yeshua HaMashiach, which means Jesus, which is supposed to be, this is where you get Jesus Christ from, because HaMashiach means the anointed one. But anyway, they say it translates, right? But then the Bible is specific in saying there is no name greater than Jesus. There's a reason for that. How is there no name greater than a name that never existed in the time in which this man supposedly lived? You feel me? So not only do we accept that we're the cursed people, now we accept the only way we can be saved is through accepting and believing with everything in us. Believing with everything in us in the power of something that doesn't exist. That's one of the touchy subjects right there, because it's like, yo, does he? No, Jesus does not exist. We're still on the road. The shit is still out on Yeshua, because as they said, after the third day he rose and he ascended everything. He could have got abducted by aliens. I'm not trying to be funny, but where did he go? He just ascended into the sky and they're transfigured in it. Like, where did he go? He just disappeared. He was taken up. That's what the word says. That's technically being abducted. But anyway, I'll let y'all have that. Jesus doesn't exist. Jesus doesn't exist. He can't, because Jesus didn't come in existence until 1550 when the letter J was created. When the first letter of this being's name wasn't even made yet while he supposedly lived, how does that work? So now, on top of being the chosen people who are accursed, we now accept that we have to be saved by something that is not real. This is how they were able to get us on the good ship, Jesus. Those of us who came from Africa. But my question is, how the fuck us that was here, who were never exposed to it, even accept this shit too? Because again, there's a reality that we have been convinced to accept the chosen, the negative part. But now it comes back into how. because we accept these enslavements. We accepted all of this shit. Why is it so comfortable for us to do that shit? And we wonder why we perpetuate, oh, what about black on black crime? It's because of poverty. It's because of this. The education is wrong. All of this shit. We want to blame everything except the religion that we have accepted, because we have accepted that we are the chosen people. We literally believe we're supposed to go through this shit. We literally believe that our lives are supposed to be difficult, challenging, frustrating, and hard just to get good. Belief is powerful. Only thing greater than belief is understanding. This is why I always speak on, when I talk about the levels of the mind, you have belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Belief can appear like any one of those three. And it can be none of those three. To believe with everything in you that you're chosen to be cursed, that is a different level of psychology. That is a different level of psychosis. That is a different level of mental disability. I was put on this earth to be cursed forever. I'm always going to go through these things because I can't get right. This is why we're asking as opposed to telling. This shit's not happening anymore. But we don't. We won't. So now you have these conversations where you get motherfuckers wearing turbans and shit talking about, yo, we're the chosen people. We're really the chosen people. And the premise of why we call ourselves the chosen people is all found in what we choose to look at from Deuteronomy 28. You can bang with me all day long on this shit as to why you feel you made. Like, think about this. As the men, we accept that we're the chosen people, right? Let me show you how wrapped up in subjugation we are and how much we have accepted that our reality is to be subservient, our reality is to be cursed, right? Our men, when it comes to the Israelites, whatever the case may be, when we accept that we're the chosen people, when our people as a whole, when we accept that we're the chosen people, we automatically equate it to the oppression of 400 years and all of the shit that was listed in the book. Okay, you're going to be shipped off into enslavement. Like, this is why I tell people, I'm going to put a quick pin in it. This is why I tell people, was that book really prophecy or was it edict? Here's what I mean by that. By edict, it's as it's written, so shall it be. Was it prophecy for the future or was it edict for the future? Was it written to make it happen? And you were led to believe that it was written because the divine said it was going to happen. No, you can't. You don't predict atrocities, you create them. You don't predict futures, you create them. You feel what I'm saying? But the point with that is that as a collective, we're so used to being viewed as the chosen people who are cursed that everything in our reality is like that. As a people, we say, oh, well, in the book it says we're going to be shipped off into slavery and we're going to, be this for 400 years. Look at where it's at. So I'm like, that means it happened to us twice then. Because if this very book is a historical document, we shouldn't be in this position now. He should have already returned, came back, and cracked the sky and got us out of this shit. But there's no way in hell you can, but we're under the premise that because the slavery started, let's say 1619, 2019, we keep saying, 400 years is up. That shouldn't have been the 400 years. The 400 years was supposed to be 1450 BC to 1850 BC. Because that's quote unquote, if the history is right and you just suppose it accordingly, that is when the Hebrews were enslaved in Egypt. So somebody's lying. That's why I'm like, you have to get to the part and see beyond the mythology and get to the allegory of this shit. Because that means we were enslaved twice. That means we've done this shit twice. Oh, we're in the last 400 years. They started in 1619, it's 2020, and the shit hasn't stopped. Ain't no sky crack, ain't no trumpet blow. The fuck you waiting on? See, that's the issue. Because we have accepted that we're the cursed version, while the other people have accepted that they're the blessed version. All the cursed versions need to be saved by something. Need to be saved by something. The blessed version has already been given the power to do whatever the fuck they want to do. They don't. I would always ask people. I said, why don't Caucasian people fear the consequence of wronging the chosen people? Because if you're chosen to be cursed, you actually technically get blessed. The person who contributes to the curse that was already put upon you, they're going to be blessed by default. That's why I always say the God of your enemy is your devil. The God of your enemy is your devil. And when you serve the same God as your enemy, what are you serving? Keep it a being with that. You feel me? So it's the reality of which version did we choose, bro? Sis? Which version did we choose? And that's why I'm saying this, because everything that we do has to be rooted in slavery in some way, shape, or form. Some way, shape, or form. You feel what I'm saying? In some way, shape, or form. Whether it's okay, let's look at we're a part of the chosen people based off Deuteronomy 28. Look at our women. Oh, I'm a Proverbs 21 woman. That sounds good. Proverbs 21 woman sounds good till you realize she's just a slave who keeps the house clean. She ain't got no voice. She ain't got no power. She ain't got no position. She can't do shit. You feel me? Everybody talks about that Proverbs 31, forgetting that Proverbs 31 starts off with a mother talking to her son, and she initially starts off with basically saying, watch out for these fast-ass little girls. She doesn't quite say it like that, but she says, these women can bring kings down. Stay away from those. But instead, get a woman like this, who is going to cook, clean, and shut the fuck up in the presence of a man. And everybody, all the sisters, I want to be a Proverbs 31 woman. Okay. Because it sounds good until you read it, until you know what the fuck it's really talking about. That Proverbs 31 woman is a mother talking to her son, telling him not to bring no hoes home. Not to bring no women home who will talk to you, who will speak back to you, who will have a voice and can meet you with the same power. You feel what I'm saying? When you look at the Jezebels, when you look at the harlots, and you look at the prostitutes, you look at all these people that they shamed in the Bible, you shamed in these religious texts, those women also had the powerful voices. Nobody liked them. The whole premise of Lilith was that she did not want Adam to be on top. And Adam bitched about it and said, I need a new wife. But they took that shit out. They don't want to talk about Lilith. But again, Lilith is a lot of that shit is more astrological with her story, but they don't even give you that part. You feel me? So when we look at that full context, when we look at putting that shit into perspective, this is what pisses me off about religion. This is why I don't fuck with it. Because the only place that black people fit in any religion is as the cursed people. We're never going to fit into the blessed side. And as long as we're getting little crumbs here and there, we're getting a little bit of things that keep us moving, keep us thriving. The curses got to always come back. Those curses got to always be inflicted. And we're not so, oh, this is what's supposed to happen. When will it stop? When will it stop? When will it? It won't. You're cursed. And as long as you accept this curse over your motherfucking self, you'll always feel this shit. You always feel it. You always see it. It's never going to fucking stop. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get your children. I'm going to get your children's children. I'm going to get your children's 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 children. I'm going to have all of y'all forever under this one premise. Because in the Council of Nicaea, when they decided they were going to take over the world, they said, we're going to do it under, on the surface and shit. It was like, we're going to do it under Jesus. We're going to use Jesus as the emblem to do the shit. But you need two solid principles. In order for Jesus to work, you need two solid points in order for him to work and for people to choose to accept him. You need to have a people accept that you have to have one side accept that they are chosen to be cursed and one side accept that they are chosen to be blessed. And the blessed are going to inflict on the cursed. And everything's going to work under the same name. Under the same name. So now, while everybody's looking at it like he's literally working both sides of the field because he's blessing the blessed and he's holding out for the cursed. It's not your time yet for me to do anything for you. It's not your time yet for me to do anything for you, but I'm going to continue to do for these blessed people right now because they're blessed after all. You're not, your bounty, your problem and the atrocities happened to you don't stop until the sky cracks and I come back. Just keep waiting on me. Just keep waiting on me. And accept the curses that you have within you. And we do. So we're looking at the land of milk and honey. We're looking at that. That's what we're looking forward to. We've accepted the curse. This is why we're so big on getting to heaven. Because that's when we understand that the curse has been lifted. But for those that are blessed to be the chosen people, their heaven is right here on motherfucking earth. And it's showing it to you all day long. Every single day. And their heaven is so ingrained here, they have the power. And they put themselves in a position of power because of what they accepted as the side of the chosen people they wanted to be. So much so that when you say, I'm the chosen people, they make you apologize for it. But yet, they can also come out and say that the black people resemble monkeys. Rabbi just got caught saying that shit, and nobody's made him apologize. Because you don't apologize to accursed people. Fuck them. You only apologize to those that are blessed, because those are the only motherfuckers that matter. You feel me? So I ask, which version of the chosen people have you accepted? You feel what I'm saying? Which version of the chosen people? I'm like this. I don't fuck with the religion. I don't fuck with deities. I don't fuck with any of that shit anymore. I have my understanding as to why I don't. You dig what I'm saying? But at the same time, for those who do, I have to ask you, why and which version have you accepted? Chances are, if you're melanated like me, you've accepted the cursed version a long time ago. You can't even fathom being in the blessed version. You know how I know you can't fathom being in the blessed version? Because if it's time to kill something, you're going to say, that's not my place. Yet you will not acknowledge Ecclesiastes 3:8 that says there is a time and a season for everything. If we were really the blessed people, if we were really the blessed version of the chosen people, we would not fear murdering somebody who murders us. You feel what I'm saying? Simply because we understand that we are blessed. You feel what I'm saying? We are blessed. But we have accepted that we are cursed. And we don't want to compound to the curse. But we subconsciously, because of the way genetics work, the way cycles work, we understand that from their perspective, from who they supposedly are, that they are the blessed version of the chosen people. This is why we have this premise that white is right. Cold white ice is better than black ice. You feel what I'm saying? We have these perspectives. They're ingrained in us. This is why we low-key have an inferiority complex sometimes. Not because we're actually inferior, but because we have accepted that we're the chosen people from the cursed side, while we understand that they are the blessed version of the chosen people. And yet, we're still calling ourselves the chosen people and not acknowledging the version that we have accepted.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now.
So, this is all this derived because my aunt pissed me off. Because what she said, it was hurtful. Like to tell, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man, I'm a grown man. But at the same time, my feelings was hurt. I'll admit that. My feelings was hurt off of two premises because it's like, on the individual, you basically said, yo, that was supposed to, like, I was supposed to get, like, let's say I didn't make it. Let's say that shit actually killed me. And this, like, I was raised in a single parent home. My father left when I was 4 months old. So at 17 months old, you got to understand that it was hard for my mama. So this deity, if I didn't make it, he would have took her baby while she still has 2 other kids and still has to function and run by herself. He would have put my mother in a mental asylum to show that he is real. What kind of experiment is that? You know? So I asked mine, like, you know, I said, Auntie, I just ran out there. So I said, that means that this being put the inclination in me to run in front of a car, to just go run real fast. There was no reason. Yes, that was all him. You know, I was like, I didn't die under the car. Y'all know that, right? They was like, no, when your mom hopped on the car and said, please don't let my baby be dead, that brought you back. Auntie, I didn't die under the car. I didn't. Well, you were too young to remember. You weren't even there. You're hearing a story, and now you're telling me that this deity did this to me to prove a point to my mother. So that goes back into what I'm saying. We accept that we're cursed people. We're supposed to go through hell to get closer to deity, ironically. And hell is the farthest place away from him. You know? So it hurt my feelings from that perspective. Then it hurt my feelings on the grander scale, because collectively as all people, we all feel like this. We feel innately, somehow, because we're connected to this shit, that we're supposed to go through this. We're waiting for the curse to lift. Oh, the 400 years is up. Remember, it started in 1619. I've even seen some of the woke people have done the same shit. 1619, the slave trade, the Ma'afa started. 2019, oh shit, it's finally over. We're done. No, nigga, stop accepting that we are supposed to be fucking cursed. That's what keeps our curse on. We are. This is why they gave it to us in a religion. This is why they gave it to us in a language we couldn't understand. This is why they didn't want us to read, but that was the only bit of information that we could read. And when we read it, what did we read? You read verses like slaves. Honor your slave masters if you would, Jesus Christ. You know? Then you were reaffirmed in here shit like, yeah, slave master, if you beat your slave and they die, it is okay because that is your property. That is a verse for the version of the chosen people who are blessed. The property is the version of the chosen people who are cursed. Which version did they give us? Which version do they continue to give us? Which version does the pastor fucking speak on every goddamn Sunday? Which version is the one that is ingrained within our motherfucking minds? The version of being cursed. The version of being cursed. Because if we do cross over into the blessed side, oh, it's crazy, because those who have operated from the blessed side, who have said, you know what, fuck that, I'm not cursed. If I am going to be the chosen people, I'm going to be off the blessed side. Suddenly we understand that they've become the Illuminati. We understand that they're Satan worshipers now, because they do not affirm the curse anymore. So again, if we're going to operate from that perspective, you then have to go back to what I said about the God of your enemy is your devil. And when you serve your enemy's God, you are serving your devil. But somehow when you serve the God that is supposed to be of you, of course you're going to be serving your enemy's devil. You don't find it odd. See, we fear African spirituality because they fear African spirituality. Why? Because they've already conceptualized and understood that the God of your enemy is your devil. If I'm giving homage to my ancestors, if I'm giving homage to the source that created me, if I understand that who my spiritual parent is, if I understand who I'm a child of, what energy and essence I'm a child of, oh, you're not fucking with me no more. Not spiritually, not mentally, not physically. You're not harming me. See, they want to keep what the fuck happened in Haiti under wraps. Roots, pun intended, but they want to keep the shit under wraps. With Napoleon and his army, They don't want to tell you that they were using voodoo or Vodun as it, they don't want to tell you that they were using that. They don't want to tell you that the last words before that battle was, give that white man back his God, you are free. Those were the last words that were spoken. And did you know they took Napoleon's army from 35,000 to 7,000. They didn't use any weapons. How the fuck you think they did that shit? You feel what I'm saying? So we think, oh, people fear. No, they don't fear. No, they do fear Haiti. We shouldn't. Because if we understand the roots of Haiti, we understand that we can go back when we go back to our African spirituality. Now, whether you want to call it African or not, I don't give a fuck. Like, let's call it genetically dominant spirituality. Whatever the case may be, it connects us back to nature. It connects us back to the source, the way we're supposed to be. Religion has disconnected us. Because everything that can bring us back to the source is a blockage. Jesus doesn't lead you back to the source. Muhammad doesn't lead you back to the source. You are the source. And the source is you. But all of these different things have tainted us. More so when we have accepted that we are the cursed version of whatever reality we play. Damn, yo, we just got the short end of the stick. Black people just got to go through this. The reason why Black people going through this is because the final shackle that we have to break is the mental shackle, the spiritual shackle. Yeah, physically, we're not in bondage anymore. You feel me? Mentally, we're able to go to school, get educated, where we have access to the internet and all of the information that we want to learn. But spiritually, we still have that shackle on, and that's what we have to break. And the thing that is keeping that shackle intact that will not break is the understanding that we are the chosen people who are cursed. We are the chosen people who are cursed. I ask people all the time, what are we chosen for? The reality is, to go to heaven, to be in the number for heaven. That's only a population of 144,000 that is reserved for the blessed people. The cursed people ain't getting there. This is why there's an intercession called purgatory, quote unquote. Because your cursed life has to be cleansed first. Then you go. But this motherfucker's already there, so you're not going to have a spot. You're cursed. You are the cursed people. The curse will never be lifted until you lift it off yourself. You do this by not trying to seek white validation and approval. We just want to sit at the table. Fuck their table. Fuck them. You feel me? Our religiosity mindset keeps us bound to the reality that we are cursed, they are blessed. And it's still not that far removed. My father, when I talk to him, he still tells me bullshit about the white man won't let me do this. He won't what? He won't let you do what? Like, the fuck? To where I have reached a point where I have put myself in a position where, like, he can't tell me what I can and can't do. What kind of shit is that? But that shows the powers to where we have to sit under this chosen people's blessing as their footstool. We're the fucking footstool. Like I said, it sounds good calling that shit. Your enemy's gonna be your footstool. And completely miss the fact that you're the goddamn footstool. So who's your enemy? Who's the enemy standing on you? Because you're the footstool. As the cursed chosen people, you're the footstool. They're standing all over us, putting their knees in our necks. Nothing happens. Nothing stops. If we were really the chosen people, you don't think, wouldn't they really fear that shit? One or two things has to happen. Either the deity that ordained us to be chosen ain't real, or that chosen aspect has two different versions, and whichever version you accept determines how you're going to be helped. And we've accepted the cursed version. So at some point, we got to realize something's off. Something's not right. Something's not working. And it's on us to decide what that something is. You feel what I mean? This ain't me saying you got to give up your religion. This ain't but I'm saying, start really acknowledging which version of yourself, which version of your religion you took. You feel me? The version who deserves to get punished. The version whose mentality says that I don't deserve anything good. Or you always expect something bad to happen in your mind, in your life, once things start going good. Do you know why you do that shit? It's deeper than insecurity. It's deeper than inferiority complex. It's a generational cyclic thing broken down to where you feel like you're cursed. You literally believe, bad shit's just supposed to happen. I'm always just waiting on the shoe to fall. Yep. Because our culture, our conditioning is built on the fact that we are cursed people. We are cursed people. So it doesn't matter if, so when we talk about devil worshiping and Satanism, what's worse than accepting that you're a cursed person? That's Satan, and that's violation against your own self, the blessing that you are. We are created in the image of a being, and it cursed us. It cursed its reflection. That's powerful. It cursed its reflection. So like I said, either you're going to accept the cursed version or you're going to accept the blessed version. We know what the cursed version is. That's what makes you a Hebrew Israelite. The blessed version makes you the Jewish guy. I'm not saying be Jewish or try to be Jewish or shit like that. That's not what I'm saying. But you can see the proof in the pudding. Which version of the chosen people we are. So when it comes to who's the chosen people, who's the real Jews, who's this and this, both. The answer is both. But it's a different version of both. And as Black people, we have gotten comfortable accepting the version that is cursed. And as whatever they are, they have accepted the version of being blessed. So the argument is not who's the chosen people anymore. Because you can choose which version you want to be. But we have never had the opportunity to do that. This is why I was talking about, it just so kind of segues, because I had an episode about choices and options. The only option we were given as the chosen people was to be the cursed version. They never presented that positive side to us. That side is reserved for affirmation. That side is reserved for okay, it sounds good when you're preaching. Yeah, he's going to put your enemies he went to the sword, all men, women, children, cattle. We wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight as the cursed people, because we know that doesn't apply to us. But when you talk about going down, that's why the story of Egypt is so powerful. That's why it resonates with us so heavy. That's why, because as I said, when you study this history and you put the two together, you got to go back to Greek, go up from Kemet. Not Greek, go back to Egypt and go up from Kemet. If you get that, you know what I'm talking about. Feel me? You got to go back to Egypt and you go up from Kemet and you see what you really are. And when I say up from Kemet, I'm not saying that we're all Cometians. Kemet was the last dynasty, the last extension that we had. Because when you start to go up from Kemet, you find Nubia, you find Kush, you find Ethiopia when it was the entire landmass. You even get back to Alkebulan. You start to go back up. But you got to go back to Egypt. But that's why Egypt is so important in the context of religion. That's why Egypt is a turning point, because that's when the chosen people were clearly defined. You had the chosen people who were going to be cursed and the chosen people who are going to be blessed. The chosen people that are cursed came out of Egypt. You don't think that was an accident? Historically written, you don't think that was an accident? It justifies the fall. Justifies the fall. Because you notice one thing they leave out in the story in Exodus, they say all of the names, but they never say the Pharaoh's name. They just make a general statement, Pharaoh. Think about every other character in this motherfucking book. They have a title and they have a name. Everybody has a name except Pharaoh. You don't know if it's Ramses. You don't know if it's Tutankhamun. You don't know if it's Thutmose. You don't know if it's Tarhaka. You don't know which Pharaoh they're talking about purposely. Purposely, because no matter where you put the connection in, it's supposed to happen like that. But you notice they have names in there like Artaxerxes with the associated with Persia. They have the names like who else? Artaxerxes, he's a character. And then his story revolves around 300 men taking the whole city. Now that was funny when I seen that shit. And that's in the Bible too. But, I'm like, yo, y'all really just took Leonidas' story and then took Leonidas off the shit. But whatever. But those points, when it comes to Egypt and the Pharaoh, he never said the Pharaoh's name. It's important that you understand why they left that bit out. We talk about all of the books that they left out, but they never put the Pharaoh's name in there. The reason why is because when you know what Pharaoh it was, you can now put this in history and see where it makes sense. You feel me? Because no matter how you look at the story, it'll always throw off. And I'm going to tell you why it'll throw off. Because if we look at the story when it happened, supposedly what happened was within the 400-year captivity, according to the biblical scripture and the text, it's supposed to be from 1400 BC to 1800 BC was when the 400-year enslavement was in Egypt under Pharaoh, right? Now, within that, they say the Hebrews built the pyramids. Here's why that's a problem. Because the pyramids were built in like 29 something BC. It throws the timestamp off. It really puts the icing on the timestamp 100% when you know which Pharaoh it was. And they don't give you that. They're not going to give you that. That's why I say you got to go back to Egypt. You got to go up from Kemet, because then you start to see, oh, the only place I fit in here, if I go back to Egypt, and that's why I say, oh, we were in bondage in here, and la, 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 la. But you start to put it in the context of being a black people and all of that shit, but you will accept forever that you are a cursed people. You will accept that shit forever. That wasn't by accident. So I ask you again before I wrap this up: are these religious books prophecy, or were they edict? We're gonna make this shit happen. But that's where I'm gonna end on that. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_sing_. Visit my site at IamJustSing.com to get all things Just Sing. And yeah, reevaluate your reality. Ask yourself which version of the chosen people you are. I'm not telling you to give up your shit. I'm not telling you to let it go. I do want you to understand it thoroughly. The mythology, the ritual, and the allegory. I do. But if you're not willing to, at least the most you can do is understand. Pick a side, bro. Sis. If you're going to claim yourself as the chosen people, stop picking the cursed side. Because you're going to remain cursed for the rest of your days. And you're going to pass that curse on to your children, because the curse is mental. It's spiritual. The shackle is spiritual. Once you internalize that within your mind, within your essence, that this is who you are, this is what you are, you're going to continue that. You're going to continue that. Feel me? And we got to stop. We got to stop. But with that being said, man, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Yeah, I'm going to end it on that one. Be sure to kiss your babies. Love on them. Don't reaffirm the curse for them. Break it. Break it. Make sure they eat their vegetables, man. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.